All right, now let's talk Atlanta. Me and Brian are talking about the whole season. Or not all the whole season, but the whole show, all
Mhm.
4 seasons of Atlanta. Just to give a quick like little synopsis of the show. If you haven't seen it, which you should go see it. Ern and his cousin Alfred, based in Atlanta, try to make their way through the world and the rap scene. All along the way, they come face to face with social and economic issues touching on race, relationships, poverty, status, and parenthood. The show overall has a 97% critic score and an 83% audience score. Now, Brian, before we start, because we're going to talk about each season,
Right.
I have I have what each season's rated as for like separately on Rotten
Okay.
Tomatoes. So I think as we go through the seasons, we could mention those.
Yeah, definitely. What do we
Because I'm
got for
interested to see your
season
takes on
one?
this. Yeah, for season one, it's got a 98% critic score and a 91% audience score.
Okay, that seems about right.
Yeah.
So let's just jump right into it.
Okay.
So when we got season one, we would have been seniors in high school.
Yeah.
And I think it came out, I think it technically started, and then he had dropped he went under his name Childish Gambino, his music career, and
Hmm.
dropped Awaken My Love. And Awaken My Love was really fucking good, but it was super different. And it's like when he got super artistic with it. He did complete change of sound. It didn't sound like because of the internet. It didn't sound like anything we had really heard before. And it's because Donald Glover is one of those people where he's an artist. He's not a rapper. It's not Childish Gambino is his only thing. No, this guy has already proved himself as a great fucking actor. And when they announced that he was making a show, I know me and Hedvina, who hasn't been on the show yet, I'm sure he'll be on here at some point. We're just like, fuck yeah, Childish Gambino show. It's about a rapper, like hammer that. And then we get the show, we're like, what the fuck? He's not even the main rapper, he's the manager, which I thought was a really cool idea. And now we have the show Dave, which is based off Lil Dicky, and I mean, it's not even really real because we know Lil Dicky dropped one album and then fucking disappeared. But then we have this show come in and it takes it a whole different way. And I didn't know until today, yeah, today, that he called it Twin Peaks but with rappers, because that makes so much fucking sense. Twin Peaks, I don't know if you've ever like even heard of it, but I only know about it because when I watched Psych, they did like a whole episode, and it's one of my favorite episodes, and it's like Twin Peaks style. And I was like, what the fuck is this? And I've only watched two episodes out of, I think there's 24 between two seasons or something like that. And I
Yeah.
really plan on going back to get it. But the whole idea of that one is like everything is super fucking weird, and that's what you get with this show. Even from the first episode, you get what's his name? Ahmed White, I think is his name. I believe he's the guy on the bus.
Yeah. That
And
offers
that's
them the sandwich.
yeah, and again, what's crazy about this show is, yeah, it's super funny, and you could watch it briefly, like how that's kind of how I did it when we watched it because we would only been 17,
Hmm.
and it's like, oh, Josh Gibby's new show, he's fucking funny, like everyone's gotta watch it. Then like when you revisit it, it's like, holy fuck, there's like a deeper meaning. So like the dude on the bus in the first episode is essentially implying to Earn, like Earn's looking at it in a giant fucking picture, and the guy on the bus is essentially telling him just take it day by day. Like in the grand scope of things, like, yeah, there's a lot to think about, but at the end of the day, you have to focus on yourself in that day and how you're gonna get by. And we see Earn go from being a Princeton dropout, which we don't hear about till season four, which we'll talk about, being a Princeton dropout, and he's just super poor. And he has a baby mama, Van, who great fucking actress. I love her. Um, and we see just how that life goes.
Yeah.
And Paperboy, which is what's his real name? It's Brian.
Tyree Henry.
Yeah, Brian Tyree Henry.
He was just a bullet
Fucking
train too.
oh, dude. Oh yeah, that's the thing. On the Bullet Train episode, I accidentally slept through that one. That's on me. But I will say one of my favorite things about Bullet Train was that we did have Van and we did have Paperboy in that same fucking movie.
Yep. Yeah, because Zazie Beetz, who plays Van, is like, I mean, she was in Deadpool too. Also, like, she's just incredible.
I
So,
always fucking forget about that, dude.
and
No,
she's in the
she's
Joker movie.
yeah, yeah, she's the main love interest
Yeah,
that the Joker is dating
yeah,
throughout the whole thing. Love that.
Yeah, she's really good. So, and clearly she's like blown up since the beginning of the show. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
starting in 2016, 2017, and
Hmm.
to now it's like, yeah, she's gotten a lot bigger. I think the whole cast has really grown. I
Hmm.
mean,
Yeah, you're right. I keep saying
Lakeith has too.
2017. Hmm.
Yeah, like Lakeith has too. I mean, he's been in Knives Out, and the Sorry to Bother You, right? That movie that we're about to
Yeah.
talk about next month.
So
Like,
yeah, we're gonna talk about that pretty soon here, fans. But
yeah,
Sorry to Bother You is one of the craziest movies, and that's yeah, you're right,
and he
Lakeith.
stars in it, right?
Yeah, yeah, he's the
Yeah,
main character, and I fucking love him. And that's another one. Again, I saw it, and my buddy was like, "You ever see this movie?" No, but instantly you see Lakeith on the cover. I'm like, "Holy shit, it's Darius!" Like,
yeah,
yeah, I'm so down to watch this.
yeah. Then even with you watching Knives Out recently for the first time, you're like,
Hmm.
dude, that's Darius. I'm like,
Yep,
yeah,
I had to text Josh because again, I've said it numerous times on there. I never watched Knives Out until literally like what the day before Christmas or something like that, or
yeah.
Christmas Eve.
Right before the
Yeah.
new one came out.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So
so that's the thing is like to see the whole cast like grow even more and just popularity since the beginning of the show to the end is really cool because they all deserve it for
oh,
sure.
100%, dude.
Um, but
Now,
yeah,
do you want to like we could almost go episode by episode, or we could just say what we liked, what we didn't like, you know?
yeah. So let's say like, what's a couple of your favorite episodes from season one that?
Okay, so my favorite episode uh from season one, there's a lot of sleepers on here. So, and again, the best way to describe the show is weird. And you know, from the first episode, you have the whole sandwich guy, you have the whole Darius doing deja vu thing, and you kind of put it together that Darius is kind of spaced the fuck out. But then you just have random shit going on, like when they have the BAN episode and it's Paperboy on air.
It's one of my favorites.
Dude, that episode fucking kills me. And you get the whole idea of what do they call it? It's like transgender, but it's retrospectro, and
Yeah,
retrospectro identifies as a white man, and it cuts to his mom, who's obviously African American. She's like, I don't know what the hell is wrong with this kid. He puts on these glasses and this outfit and calls himself whatever it was. It's just some white guy name, and that to me again, well, retrospective at the time, funny as fuck. Like he was from what was it called? The Lean Squad or whatever, Lean Cuisine and fucking You Funny Bee. Three
yeah,
of the funniest motherfuckers. I still follow them on Twitter to this day. But you know, prior to that, like they were blowing up on Twitter just making sketches and shit. And that episode kills me, but that's still not even the best one. Like to me, I think the I forget how to say it, but the street side the Stressian effect, where they're
hmm,
just trading up the whole episode. I fucking love that episode. So honestly, to put it on record, I watched one when it was on TV, season one when it was on TV, fully all the way. And I had rewatched it at some point just so I could like feel something, I guess. I think I did that over COVID. And
yeah,
then this would have been my third time. So going back to this one just felt nostalgic. Like it felt like, oh, I remember watching this when we were seniors in high school. Like that's super fucking funny. But it still hits. Now, hands down though, the funniest fucking scene from this, honestly, the whole show, there's a lot of good moments, but I always think about this one because it's in the second episode, but when he's sitting in jail, dude, and so he gets
second I think.
arrested. Okay, yeah, so him and
Yeah,
Paperboy get arrested over a shooting thing, and for whatever reason, Paperboy and Darius get out, and Ern is stuck there for like the whole next day. And when Ern's in there, this guy runs into his old fling, who he thinks is a woman, and they piece together very clearly. He goes, why do you think your girl over here with all the men? That's a dude. And it turns into this whole funny ass dialogue. And I mean, it's 2017, so they're calling everything gay and stuff like that. But what makes it like even funnier to add the extra layer is the idea of Atlanta as a whole. Like homosexuality is looked down upon in that area because of all the masculinity, and so for him to be banging a transgender person, nothing wrong with that. But to them, it's like, oh my God, get this dude out of here. He's disgusting. And it is so fucking funny because Donald Glover is stuck in between them. It's between the guy and his girl, and then Donald Glover is right in the middle, and he goes, "So you think I'm gay?" And Donald just does the first thing comes out of his mind, just goes, "Asexuality is a spectrum, man. Like nothing's really gay. Like everyone's got a little gay in them." And he's like, "Man, shut up." That whole scene, if you could plug that right here, I always crack the fuck up. It
Yeah.
never misses, dude. And again, they did this in the second episode, and you're like, "All right, what the fuck is in store for us?"
Yeah. Well, yeah, and the thing is like with following Earn and you throughout the seasons, like you kind of each one of the main four are like the main characters that you follow. But like
Mhm.
I feel like the first season you're really just like following Earn mainly. And like from that first episode where he walks into that fast food place and asks for a kid's meal and all that stuff. And it's like I think we've all been there before where we're like trying to save money and not spend money on things that maybe you don't need and I mean he's broke in this first season and um yeah, so that's all incredible too. And it's like there's other great episodes too, like the finale, the jacket.
Yep. The
That
jacket
yeah, that's one of
is
my
one of the
favorite.
funniest things because again, Paperboy has been around so long, they pull up. So the whole idea of this one is that they all go out and party. And I love using that from time to time and be like, it's like you're my boy, but you ain't my boy.
Oh yeah.
And it's like you're my friend, but we ain't really friends. And that's what Ern wakes up to. Paperboy and Darius had left him at this party in the morning, and they were like, "Oh, like we're already eating and stuff. Like, where are you at?" He goes, "Thanks for waking me up, guys." Realizes his jacket's gone. They're trying to track it down, and when they go to the guy's house, finally towards the end, they're just sitting there, and Paperboy's like, "Something feels off." Drives off. Police raid it, and then they just shoot the guy. They shoot him in the jacket, dude. The jacket is just riddled with bullets, and Aaron goes, "Could you check his pockets?"
Yeah, because at that point you're thinking like, what is so important about this damn jacket? And
Yeah.
figure out about the
And then
key and
you
everything.
find out it's a key to a storage unit that he's sleeping in.
Yeah,
Dude,
yeah.
oh my god. And while we're at it, we should talk about the fact Donald Glover is just a fucking genius. Like this is me, number one fan over here. Love this guy.
Yeah,
Call
let's
me
suck his
dick
dick for a
sucker. I
minute.
was gonna say, call me a dick sucker. Call whatever the fuck you want. I don't care. He fucking deserves it. The fact he's 39 and he would drop that, he would have been fucking like what 33 at that point.
Yeah.
Is fucking almost criminal because this guy deserves to be in way more shit. And I hope the opportunity's there, and it's really just him being like, "Nah, I don't want to do all this bullshit." Because when you get back to the show, and again, they took a 4-year hiatus between the second season and then 3 and 4, which is a long ass time. Makes sense though. The world did shut down in that time. But he's just a fucking creative genius, and the shots in this show are fucking amazing.
Well, dude, that's the thing that's like it's unfair because he created the show, right?
Mm-hmm,
First of all, he's this handsome guy who's rich,
mm-hmm,
funny. He can sing, he can
mm-hmm.
dance, he can
Yep.
write, he can direct, he can create things. Literally, I don't know what he can't do. It's literally not even fair. And this is one of the few shows where it's like at the end of every episode, I look forward to seeing who directed it and who wrote
Mm-hmm,
it and everything
mm-hmm.
like that because most of the time it's him. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like the same 3, 4 people directing it and the same
Mm-hmm.
3 or 4 people writing it. So it really is amazing to see what his talent is. And it's like me and you, I know I've been huge fans of him for like a long ass time.
Mm-hmm.
And like even like his work on Community and the things like that have
Yep.
been great. Even Spider-Verse, like his voice acting he did, or him
Yep.
being on in Homecoming too, Spider-Man
Mm-hmm.
Homecoming.
Yep.
Like everything he's in is just amazing and I don't know. So he deserves the world. Like it's I'm jealous of how like awesome he is, really. I mean, there's nothing he can't do.
Yeah. And again, it's one of those things where like you almost already look into the future that this guy is gonna be old and I'm selfish and I want him in as much stuff as fucking possible. And again, with this show, me and Josh were in the same boat of we almost didn't want to finish it. Like I finished it before Josh, and I took 2 days before I watched episodes 9 and 10 of the last season because at that point it was just over.
Mhm.
And I didn't want that because it was so fucking good. Um, but yeah, dude, this first season, this is where it really is like a comedy. Like there is a drama aspect to it, but it really is a comedy. And then
Mhm.
you almost just like kind of see the shift as the seasons go on to where it's still funny, but that's not like the main thing they're going for.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you want to move on to season 2?
Yeah. Well, really quickly though, I
Okay.
will say there is oh, so many fucking episodes to talk about. But the Juneteenth episode is funny
Oh,
as fuck. It gave me Get Out vibes, and I was getting this a lot throughout the whole thing. Um it felt like a Jordan Peele type movie, but Donald Glover would fit this into a 30-minute episode. And that
yeah.
was one of them. So for the Juneteenth episode, Van has a friend who married this white guy that is really into African culture, invites them all over for a Juneteenth party. And he's like one of these guys that's like for the culture but doesn't understand it really. And I love that thing where he's like, "You've never been to Africa?" And Ern's like, "No, I've never been to Africa." And he goes, "You got to go back to the motherland." And Ern goes, "I'm fucking broke." And
I
he's
like that
just
scene
like,
too because in the
"Oh,
background his album's there,
yeah,
"Awaken My
dude,
Love," and
good
I
plug."
love that. Yeah,
So that was funny. And then what episode is it? It's the episode actually right before it, the club. The club
yeah,
episode
that's
always
a good
fucking
S one.
cracks me up. And so they have Paperboy in the club, and Paperboy's like, "Oh man, like we should be like that." And then who is it? It's basketball player. I forgot his fucking name. Um
Uh, yeah, I forgot what his name was.
I forget who it is, but he ends up buying out the club at the end, and everyone has to go home. And before everyone goes home, they realize Paperboy didn't get paid, so they went in there and beat the shit out of this guy to get the money. And at the end, a giant fight breaks out, and there's a shooting, and the basketball player actually leaves in the invisible bolt mobile, which is funny as fuck. Again, it makes no goddamn sense, but it just you roll with it, you know? Is
Yeah,
it real? Is it not real?
yeah. So
And
the
yeah,
invisible car, and then like there's the Justin Bieber thing too, right?
oh my
That's
god, the
like the
Black
two big
Justin
ones from the
Bieber.
season. Yeah,
Is that this season? I thought there
yeah.
was
So
two.
yeah, so it's episode. I got it right here.
Yeah, nobody beats the Biebs.
Yeah, that's the
Yes.
basketball episode.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And again, what's really funny is that in the Bieber one, it's like him and Paperboy getting after each other, and they basically show Justin Bieber but as a black kid and
Yeah.
how it would be received different. And like there's really nothing different other than like when he did get aggressive with Paperboy, they labeled him like a thug. And then he went out and dropped their version of what would be sorry when Justin Bieber got in trouble and decided to drop that song. Oh my god, I fucking love this show, dude. But yeah, season one as a whole, you can tell again the ratings higher, and you'll see why as the seasons go on. It starts taking a turn where you could tell the audience really isn't like, I'll just call it how it is. It's not like for kids like us, or dudes like us that are white kids that grew up in the suburbs. Like that's not really the target audience. Like we can
No.
understand it through like things that we've seen between our friends or heard. um but that's why I feel like the critic score is higher in the overall, and the fucking viewer rating is like a little lower.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. So it's like you said, it's not really made for, us as the audience,
Hmm.
but I mean, everyone can enjoy the show, obviously. And
Hmm.
season one does have like the best audience score rating.
Yep.
Not that the other seasons are that much lower, but I saw a comment in a video about Atlanta where they're breaking it down, and the top comment was like, you know, like we said with how it's kind of similar to Twin Peaks. In some episodes, it's similar to, what's it called? Um, what's that show called? It's not I'm not thinking Black Mirror, it's the Twilight
Twilight
Zone.
Zone.
Twilight
Yeah.
Zone. Yeah, thanks.
Yep. I
Yeah,
was
so
feeling the same way.
yeah, so but this kid goes, as an African American, I feel like sometimes in my life that I'm in a Twilight Zone episode. And so
Hmm.
watching this show helps me out a lot and gives me laughs and stuff like that. So I thought that was really, really cool too, how,
Hmm.
he reaches out to the audience and can kind of make them feel similar to the way that the show is showing like certain scenes and what certain characters have to go through. So I thought that was really cool too.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, going into season two has a 98% critic score also, and then an 87% audience score. So a little bit of a dip. Season one had 91, season
Yep.
two is 87. Me personally, I think season two is my favorite season.
Yeah, we were talking about this. Now, again, me only watching season two. So when I originally watched it, I watched it on TV. It was a little harder because I was away at school, didn't have cable, so I had to fucking bum people's Hulus. I actually only watched up to episode 9. There's 11, and this is the only season that has 11 episodes. I
Mhm.
only watched up until 9. So when I did the rewatch just now, I remember the first 9, and then I got to 10 and 11. I was like, what the fuck? I have never seen these before, is what I realized very quickly. And you could tell that season 2 is where it does start to change and things get even like more weird. Like you can look at like the episode Helen. Van wants Earn to go out to this festival thing that she used to do as a kid, and you get there, and it's almost like blatantly racist, which we'll talk about because they kind of do the same thing in season 3. But so Earn gets there and they're walking around, and it's just a lady in blackface, and she walks up to Earn, and it's just like, "Your paint looks so good," and Earn goes, "What the fuck are you talking about?" He goes, "Your face," and then he goes, and he just stares at the lady, and the lady realizes quick, she's like, "Oh, this is actually a black man. Like this isn't paint." And just to be put in that situation again, I've never personally had a situation like that, but I mean, I do have long hair, and I've definitely stopped in places where they relate long hair with like being homosexual, and like I'm getting stares at a gas station. I'm like just trying to get my gas and move on. Like quit looking at me.
Yeah.
And again, I can't really relate to it, but I imagine how I felt in that situation. It's like 10 times worse for a person of color to see something like that.
Yeah. And then to this season we're introduced to Tracy. What do
Tracy.
you think of him? Because I like this character a lot.
So
I thought he's funny.
Tracy's a funny motherfucker, and it's like it's funny because it's like everyone almost has that friend like where you're super tight with someone, and then they're like, "Oh, this is so and so," and you don't really like them, and you could tell Ern's whole thing for not liking him though is solely because he couldn't fucking like live with Al because he
Yeah.
got kicked out of the storage unit. But Tracy is so fucking funny, dude. So Tracy gets out of jail, and when he tells Ern, he's like, "Oh, I could double that for you." And so in the Stride and Effect episode, I totally fucked it up. So from season 1, the whole idea of that is like Ern has a phone that he was going to sell, and then he was going to trade up and get more money. Darius, it ends up with them getting a giant ass dog, and Darius using that dog to breed other dogs with the guy on a farm. And so he won't get the money for like a year or
Yeah,
something
it's
like
a
that.
thousand per puppy, right?
Yeah, and he's like, I think he ends up with 4 grand from it.
Yeah.
And so in the second episode, Ern gets the money finally, and it's like, oh kid, like, oh shit, like they actually brought that back. That's awesome. So enter fucking Tracy. Tracy's like, "Hey man, I can double that for you." And he's gonna put it all on like little cards for the fucking mall. And
Yeah.
Ern was just gonna ball out. Dude, I kid you not. I always think about that scene when they're in the Foot Locker and Tracy's telling him, he's like, "Oh, so it works at Foot Locker?" And he goes, "These?" He goes, "No, I'm just stealing these." He goes, "They got a no chase policy." And the whole time it's just a young ass white kid, like, "Can I get that in a size 10 for you, sir?" And he's just like talking about how he's gonna steal them. And he's like, "Nah, man, we're good." And he goes, "All right, let me know if I can do anything for you, gentlemen." And he's like offering this and that. And Tracy literally looks at him and goes, "All right, man, let's roll." And just walks out with the box of shoes without paying. And he's right. The
That
guy
scene.
doesn't chase after him or anything. So then from there, Ern's like, "All right, fuck it, like, let's ball out with this card." And Tracy texts him and goes, "They're on to you. You got like 10 minutes before that card shuts off." And it shows Ern running through the mall. And then the next cut is him carrying like fucking 12 bags of shit trying to leave.
And then Tracy takes the car that they
Yeah,
came in. So
Tracy leaves his ass.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know.
dude.
He's always like, and then too, they fight at the end of the season too, which is funny too.
Oh my god, I forgot about that, dude. He just
Mhm.
beats his ass. He goes, "I'm gonna beat the fuck out of you. Pull over." Erd gets his shit rocked to get back in the car, and then they just drive off like it didn't happen.
And the
Because
way they leave him at the end of the season's funny too.
yeah, dude, the fucking because that was North of the Border, which
Yeah.
is a fucking great episode. So for North of the Border, they get invited to play a show at a fucking HBCU, and so they go and everything's going smooth up until some girl threw a drink down at Paperboy. That was the girl that they were staying at. Some girl invited them to stay there. It's gonna be way cheaper than getting a hotel. Ern's trying to cut any corners at this point. He's trying to get paid, trying to get the maximum amount of profit. So he's like, "Fuck a hotel." This girl said we can all stay there. Like, let's just stay at her house. And this girl sees Paperboy talking to another girl, throws a cup of water. Tracy is upstairs and ends up pushing this girl, which
Hmm.
is still one of the funniest fucking things. And it turns into them just having to book it. That's where the hate from Ern for like towards Tracy comes from. Because he
Dude, and that
already
fraternity they
won
find
him.
too.
Oh my god. Dude, I forgot that you get to see Dick in that episode. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they have if you don't know what an elephant walk is, go ahead, look that up. It's a form of hazing, but they have all their pledges elephant walking. And again, that would feel like a Twilight episode too, because they're sitting there smoking weed, and then it's just that shot where it's them on the couch and then a giant Confederate flag right behind them.
They're all smoking weed and talking
Yeah.
about guns.
Yeah, and then Tracy steals that old ass little pistol.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so that's the thing. So it's like the reason this season's my favorite, and we'll talk more about some certain episodes on here, but just to
Mhm.
say it really quick, um, what's cool about this season is this is the first season where it's like each of the four characters can be the main characters, right? And I'm talking like Earn, Paperboy, obviously, Van, each of them, right? Darius.
Mhm.
And like in this season, each character gets their own episode to shine, right? And in season 3, there's not really much of that. And in 4, we're back to that stuff, right? So what I like about this season so much is each character's episode, you'd think, is it gonna be boring or anything like that? No, they're like some of my favorites, and they work out so well that like when they have episodes where they're all together, you're still attached to each character in a certain way from the growth that they've had from their own episodes, right?
Yep.
So like Champagne Poppy, which we'll talk about that episode, that's like Van's episode, right? But Darius does show up a little bit into it, right? So it's like, but that episode like grows Van as a character so much more than just like Earn's baby mama, right? It's like
Yep.
he grows way more. And then Teddy Perkins, which is the best rated episode in this entire
Is that,
show.
would you say that's your favorite episode as
That
a
yeah, that
whole?
and Barbershop, which are back to back, by
Barbershop.
the
Yep.
way. Yeah,
Those are both
Barbershop being
bangers.
Paperboy's episode and Teddy Perkins being,
Mhm.
Darius's episode, even though, you know, uh Glover's in it, but yeah. And
What
then
do you
dude,
mean,
after
bro? I
Champagne
showed you that picture.
and then dude, after Champagne Poppy, then it's The Woods, which
Yep.
is another Paperboy episode where he's stuck in the woods. Like all 4 episodes back to back to back, being spoiled by that, those are some of my favorite episodes in the entire show. And the fact that we get all 4 back to back to back is awesome.
Mhm. Yeah. So honestly, we could run through this in order of the way that this comes out because I love the way that it works. So we start off the first episode's Alligator Man. Ern has to go defuse a situation with Darius about his uncle, and
Mhm.
Paperboy sends him over there. So they go over there. Lo and behold, it's fucking Cat Williams. And Cat Williams is saying that his girl that he's with fucking stole $50 out of his purse, becomes this whole thing. But the whole thing about that is he has an alligator in his fucking house, like a giant alligator, and he's known as the Alligator Man. And I fucking love that episode. So that one, you get a Ern and Darius mess around type beat. Love that because they're
Yep.
two of my favorite fucking characters. And then you get to the introduction of Cat Williams, and so that one's like more family oriented. And Cat Williams is like, "Look, dude, you're only here because like Paperboy's paying for you. Like he's not even calling him Al." And Ern's like, "Nah, bro, it's not like that." And he's like, and then he hits fucking Cat Williams with that thing where he's just like, "Hey, man, as long as I don't end up like you, like I'll be all right." And that one like cut deep.
Yeah.
That's your family, but at the same time, it's like it's your family. You know a lot about them. You know their fuck ups, and you know like what they could have been, and that's what Ern hits him with, which is fucking great. So that's a funny ass episode. You roll in. Sporting Waves is the next one. That whole one is basically them at the like Spotify office essentially,
Yeah.
and they want Paperboy to like do all this stuff and like sing his songs in front of all these fucking white people that are just looking at him. And that scene that sticks with me from this is the dude eating the banana and it's Paperboy just holding the mic, not wanting to be there. And the guy's just eating. And I don't even think it's a banana. I think he's like eating a bowl of cereal or something. And he's like, fuck this. And he basically is again because he feels like an animal in the zoo.
Yeah.
And then what's funny is basically they have the ripoff of Bobby Shmurda, and it's what the fuck's that kid's name? Do you remember? It's the kid that ends up getting him to go to Europe with him. It's like
Wasn't
something.
Curtis or something?
It's something with the C. I know that.
Yeah, I think it's Curtis. He's another
Uh,
rapper, right? Or
yeah,
artist.
yeah. And so Paperboy walks out of that and he's like, fuck this, like I'm not doing this. You look in like to the other room and that artist is pulling a Bobby Shmurda and he's dancing on the table and he's getting everyone all hype and shit. And Paperboy, and again, that's what I really fuck with about it is like he doesn't want that. Like he knows he's not a gangster rapper. Like he's not like he actually didn't like yeah, he shot that guy, but like it wasn't
And he
like on
sells
some
drugs,
gang
but
shit. Yeah, he
yeah,
just sells a little bit of weed to get by, you know. It's
yeah.
not like he's like doing hard shit. And and that's cool. And then on top of that though, then you see the other side, and he's like, well, I also don't want to be this whitewashed fucking black rapper like that just sells out and does this. And like they hit that again. This is only the second episode into the fucking season. And it's like, all right, cool. And then from there you roll. I don't remember which one Moneybag Shorty is, to be
Isn't
honest.
it the one where at the end he races Michael Vick or something? Remember that?
Yeah, is that one?
I can't remember. I think that's that episode. Yeah, because he's with Van and
That's a good one, dude. Oh yeah, okay. So this is one where just racist shit keeps happening to Earn.
yeah,
And it's Earn and Van trying to celebrate. They got a little bit of money now from Paperboy, and Earn's like, all right, I'm gonna take you out, Van. And so it starts off at the movie theater, and then there's a nice like area, and they won't let Earn to spend $100 bill, like at all. They
they think
need to
it's fake.
fucking yeah, they think it's fake, and they make him like scan his ID so that way he could like use his fucking credit card and stuff. And he's like, that's when he's like, all right, fuck it. Here's $100 bill. They're like, ooh, we don't accept $100 bills. You look over to the left, it's big white dude, cowboy hat, and he's using $100 bill. Earn goes to say something. The guy like pulls the jacket, it flashes his gun. And he's like, what the fuck? And he's like, all right, we're leaving. Goes to the hookah place. And if I'm not mistaken, the guy that runs the hookah place that tells Earn that his money is fake, I'm pretty sure that's Julius from Remember the Titans. I'm like
Yeah,
99% positive on that.
yeah, I think
Um,
so.
and that one's funny too. So they won't let him spend his money. And the cop, like the security guard or whatever the fuck it is that's working there, is like, all right, man, like here's your money back. We know that shit was real. This guy does that all the time. And that's a black man doing that to a black man, which is really fucked up. And I think that was a good way of showing like it happens to fucking anybody. Like if you're in an area where they think you don't belong, they're gonna find a reason to get you the fuck out.
Yep.
And it's really funny though, because then they end the night at the strip club.
Yeah.
Because as long as you got money, they don't care.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you roll off that and you're like, all right, these are pretty good episodes. You get to Helen. We talked about Helen. Helen
Mhm.
wasn't that great of an episode. It did kind of show Earn is a piece of shit. Like Earn doesn't realize what great thing he has in front of him, and he's not willing to like do things that he doesn't like. But
You know what I'll
then
say though? That probably is the weakest episode in the season, but it's still a great episode.
it's
And
still
that
great.
shows, right, how
Mhm.
great the season is.
Yeah, so that one reminds me of actually the Dave episode where they go to the wedding and him
Mhm.
and what's her name finally break up.
Yeah, episode 9,
Yeah, and
season
that's
1.
what it reminded me of. But again, he did this in episode like fucking 4.
Yep. Yeah.
And then from there, though, you start rolling with the bangers. You start off, you
Oh,
got
the second
Barbershop.
half.
Now, Josh, tell me about Barbershop. I know you fucking love that episode.
Yeah, yeah. Alfred just kind of goes in there for a haircut. Literally, it's like the basic ass plot that you know, and and what's the character's name? The character that cuts his hair.
So the guy that cuts his hair,
I could
it's not
look it up.
it's Bibby. Bibby.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And obviously, like that's the trusted guy he goes to always to get his
Mhm.
hair cut, and he comes out with the Bluetooth in his ear and
Yep.
everything like that, and yeah, he ends up like literally having to go on this wacky adventure with him because he needs to get the rest of his haircut done because he's only got like I don't know maybe a quarter of it done, so he
Yep.
looks like a crazy person. And yeah, he basically I mean they're stealing wood from a house. They're they get in a car accident. They almost get attacked by some kids. Like it's always like it's a bunch of random shit to the
Yeah, they
point where
catch
like
Bibby's kids skipping school, and
yeah,
then
like
they
we're
squeeze
just
them into the
never gonna
truck
get
so they
back
can
to
drop them off.
yeah, we're just never gonna get back to that barber shop. And it's like that episode that's the one of the first ones where it's like, where's like Donald Glover's character and where's
Mhm.
Zazie Beats and where is Darius? Like, where are these other characters? Why is this one just Paperboy? And it worked out so well.
Yep.
Like just following Alfred's character and like you really like this is the first episode where you get to see him as a character and what he's about and what his motivations
Mhm.
are. And like, any other person would probably like start beating his ass and stuff like that. But like he
Yep.
has heart and he
Mhm.
does care about people and I don't know. So yeah, that's a great episode. And then Teddy Perkins, right? Oh, that
Teddy
episode, Brian.
Perkins.
Jesus, that episode.
So
I text and talk about how we were texting about it during it, like because you had seen season 2 once and I hadn't seen it yet. So like
Mhm.
you had already gone through it. And I haven't seen
Yep.
it yet. So
So Teddy Perkins, I got the story. I'm not gonna say any names. I won't put anyone on blast.
yeah.
we were sitting in my buddy's basement, and someone decided to put a funny little piece of paper on their tongue, and they were waiting for that to kick in. And I remember we threw this episode on because we were just cruising through Atlanta already, and this episode came on, and our buddy was on a come up, and this motherfucker looked at me. He was just like, "Hey, bro, could you turn this off?"
This
So
has to be the worst episode to do that, by the way.
oh my god. So fuck. I forgot my window was open. I was like, what's that noise behind me? So with Teddy Perkins, it's basically like what Michael Jackson? Is that who they're
Yeah,
ripping
that's what I was
on?
picking up on. Yeah.
Oh my god. So Darius finds this piano and it's got colored keys. He wants to go pick it up. It's for free. So he pulls up to this big ass house and ends up being their version of like Michael Jackson type character. And he's got
Neverland looking.
all
Yeah.
this like plastic surgery on his face. He's pasty white, very soft spoken. He's like, oh, what are you doing?
He moves his lips.
It is so fucking scary. Like no like not this
Dude, the ostrich egg.
boy. Yeah, dude. Yeah, he has a giant ostrich egg. He's just eating out of it. So the whole time he's like basically giving Darius the runaround. And he won't tell Darius like what's up. He won't give him a straight answer. Like Darius just wants to get the fucking piano and go. And so Darius ends up like looking around the house, and the guy starts like freaking out and shit. And eventually Darius ends up with the piano in the fucking little elevator, and the elevator misses the fucking main floor and goes down to the basement. Darius is like walking around like hello, like he heard something. It's like a little bell. You find a guy, it's Teddy Perkins' brother, and he's in a wheelchair with a mask, can't talk. It is scary, bro. Like,
Dude, this whole episode's like a horror movie.
Give me the chills, dude.
Yeah.
And guys like this, he goes, Teddy killed both of us.
Yeah.
So when he goes back upstairs, finally, sure enough, Teddy Perkins has a big ass shotgun pointed at Darius, tells him, put him on. He chains him to a fucking
You sound
chair.
just like him.
Dude, oh, I'm giving myself chills, bro.
Yeah.
And the episode ends like basically I can't, bro. So he's tied up, guns pointed at him. He's gonna fucking kill him and fucking kill himself and blames like self-defense. You know, Darius is gonna go down for it. Darius is freaking out. It's like, come on, man. You know, Darius' whole thing throughout this whole show is super chill. He goes with the flow. He goes, life is life. It is what it is. In this situation, it's like, bro, like Teddy, you don't gotta do this. Well, the elevator dings and his brother comes out in the wheelchair. Teddy Perkins is like, what are you doing? And ends up taking the gun, shooting Teddy Perkins, and Darius is like, all right, cool, man, like help me get out of this. And I think he tosses him the keys. Darius is trying to get out. In the meantime, though, the brother in the wheelchair puts the gun on the floor, points it at his mouth, and Darius is like, no, and then he uses his foot, pulls the trigger, blasts his brains out. Darius ends up getting free, calling the police, and then you see him loading the piano and leaving. Like he still took the piano with him, which I think is fucking cherry on top. He went through all of that, and then like I think he comes back, he's just like, man, that shit was weird.
Yeah, and that episode too, I mean, that won a ton of awards.
Yep.
Like I said, rated one of the best episodes, has the most ratings, reviews on it, on IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes. And then who plays Teddy Perkins? This white guy.
Donald Glover himself. Now, I will say that, hang on, I gotta find it.
Okay.
You know, people claim that it's Donald Glover, but I had this
There's a picture out there, right?
I have this
An award show?
picture right here. Could you tell me who's next to Teddy Perkins again? He's so
Yeah, it looks like
pasty.
Teddy Perkins
Teddy
and
Perkins, and that's like
Donald Glover.
actually Mr. Donald Glover himself, and Teddy Perkins. Can't really see it. We're
Oh,
gonna
wait, how
pin
would
it
that
here
work
for
then?
you? Yeah. So I guess the spirit of Teddy Perkins was real.
But dude, it
Did
was
you know that was him? It
Yeah,
took
so,
me
like-
until after the episode where I had to look it up, and I was like, "Holy shit, that was Donald Glover under there."
Yeah, so I got to the part where it was when they're in the museum area part, and he's like showing him his grandfather or some shit like that, and I don't know, I was like, obviously this guy looks weird. He's probably meant to look weird, but I'm like, that voice sounds familiar. It's someone with that voice, and I looked it up, and I was like, holy fuck, of course it's him.
Yep.
Of course this is him.
And
So
what's
loved
really
it.
fucking cool about this show, I
Yeah.
think all but one episode, Donald Glover made sure that all four of them are listed in every single episode. And we'll get to
Yeah.
season 3 where they do anthology episodes, and they're not
Yeah.
even in it, but he credits them in it. So that, which is really cool, which means they still had a part in it somehow, some way, even though like, and yeah, it shows them as like
yeah, I
the
think they
cast
become
names.
producers.
Yeah, which
Pretty
is
sure,
really
yeah.
fucking sick. just to
Yeah.
keep everyone involved. But yeah, dude, that Teddy Perkins episode, holy fuck! I remember just my buddy being like, "You turn that off?" Like, yeah, my bad, bro.
Dude, it was scary. Like watching it was like, whoa, like you never knew what was gonna happen or what freaky shit was happening. And yeah,
No,
the fact it was him and just to say too, there's a episode in season 4 where he plays another character, and like
Mhm.
right away when I heard the voice, I'm like,
that one,
that's
that
him
one made
again,
more
isn't it?
sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that one he's doing a weird ass voice too, and it just
Yeah,
sounds funny
it's
as
just
fuck.
super deep.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah, so that okay, so you get the mastery that is Teddy Perkins. I think it is the highest rating episode out of all
out of
41,
all of them, yeah.
correct?
Yeah, and
Yeah,
then the
so
second highest rated episode's season 4 finale.
yep, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yep. And then so then from there, then they just keep rolling. So they do Champagne Poppy. This is a van heavy episode. She gets invited to go to a party it's at Drake's house. It's New Year's
For New
Eve party.
Year's.
And you find out that it's all like fake, basically. Drake isn't even at his own New Year's Eve party. They're all taking pictures with a cutout, which says a lot about like people in general. You know, people are like, oh, we're here to see Drake, like we're at this giant party for Drake, here's my picture with Drake, but you find out it's fake. Everyone's just doing it for fucking views. Nobody like is actually being genuine about it. Anyone that posts a picture with Drake is lying.
Yeah.
And what was that thing, Josh? What was that quote you didn't realize was from the episode?
Oh, I need a photo with Drake because my Instagram's weak as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I think it's in God's plan, or is it's that other song that's on there. Kiki, Do You Love Me? That song, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I've heard that so many times.
Yeah,
Because
because
that's a
he
popular
actually
ass song.
uses the actual snippet from the show. It's not just
Yeah.
him quoting it. Yeah.
Yeah, because I heard, I'm like, whoa, wait.
Yep.
And I knew I never seen the season, so like, wait, where have I heard that? I
Yeah.
instantly knew. I'm like, Drake? And I'm like, and then I looked the episode. I'm like, oh, it's something called Champagne Poppy.
Yep.
Because it's in the first like minute of the episode.
So banger of an episode.
Yeah, then we get
keep the
Woods.
momentum rolling. Woods is a great, beautiful episode. Barbershop was, again, this is a Paperboy heavy episode.
Yeah.
Paperboy
Even Woods is creepy too, dude.
Yeah,
when he's getting followed by that homeless guy in the woods.
Yep. And there's like a bigger meaning to it about Alfred's vulnerability and shit about his mom and stuff like that. If you want to look into that, which is really fucking cool. Because again, you're like, what is this? And again, this is the season where it is kind of like, this episode is good, but what am I missing? And then on the rewatch, you're like, okay, I see what they're going for here. You know, it's like one of those, you could watch it casually, still have a good time, or you could like rewatch it and be like, holy fuck, like this is like a really big thing going on. And that was the one. It does show his innocence, which again, we already talked about. So the following episode is North of the Border. You're back. It's got 3 out of the 4. Van isn't in this episode really. And that's
college.
The one, they go to the college. Now this one though, yes, Teddy Perkins should take the cake and Barbershop should take the cake, but I think FUBU is one of my favorite fucking episodes. Dude, so this is one I told you I technically didn't see this one on my first watch through. I guess I never finished season 2, or if I did, I don't remember, because when I did my rewatch, I was like, holy shit, I don't remember this. And it's them as kids, and it's really fucking cool to see that fucking Al has always had Ern's back.
Yeah.
Like, and that's really fucking cool. But then what's crazy is they basically killed a kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was not expecting that, bro. They fucking, so basically the beef is throughout the school. Ern has a jersey on and this kid has a jersey on, and everyone's saying one of them's got a fake jersey on because it's different. Ern obviously has the fake one. The kid has the real shit, but Paperboy convinces everyone. And again, at this point, I think they're like 12 years old, 13, something like that.
Yeah, it's like middle school.
Yeah, and Al convinces all of them, like, nah, man, that's the real one. I would know. This kid's fucking lying. That kid starts getting bullied, and you see from the bus, Ern can see the kid getting bullied and hounded by the upperclassmen, and the kid ends up killing himself over it. And it's because of that, all the bullying, and you find out the kid had just went through a divorce, or his parents had just went through a divorce. It was really hard on him, and then the bullying was the cherry on top and killed himself. They brought it up. The moms bring it up because, again, they're actually blood cousins, so they're going to the same place. And Ern's mom is like, yo, like, did you guys hear about this? Paperboy and Ern share a glance at each other, but they don't acknowledge it. And they're like, man, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was a cool episode because, like, I went to school in elementary school, like, with my cousins, and we even had classes and stuff together, so we'd always watch each other's backs, and, like, I love this episode a lot, and it like it doesn't have Donald Glover in it. It doesn't have, you know, any of the main actors that we're used to seeing.
Mhm,
And like this is what and I almost wish like the anthology episodes were kind of like, because like we're still learning a lot about Ern and Alfred together,
mhm.
but
Yep.
just as kids, and like the way they did it was awesome. Like a school episode was so cool, and it like seriously had real stakes. And like, yeah, clearly this kid was going through a hard time. They bought him the jersey to help
Mhm.
with this divorce, and he ended up getting so bullied and tortured over it that, yeah, he ended up killing himself. And I texted you, I'm like, oh my god, a kid actually committed suicide like in the story, and it's like it's
Yep.
crazy.
Didn't expect that at
Yeah.
all.
And you think like would this kid killing himself like break up Alfred and Ern's relationship together because, you know, what they've
Mhm,
gone through, and it's like no, it
mhm.
made them almost stronger, you know, as cousins and stuff like that, family.
Yeah.
So, but
And
yeah.
again, and what's crazy is that leads into the next one, and it's just like it's almost like it's stuff that happens, and to them it's just life. Like this shit happens, but you got to carry on. And then we get to the next episode. So the next episode jumps back, and at this point, now I do want to ask you about this. How do you feel about the way Atlanta jumps through time? We never see like the moment where Paperboy starts making it big. It's just implied that he's been blowing up this whole time. Because now the season's ending and they're going on a fucking European tour. And the
Yeah.
whole last episode is Ern trying to get everything ready for that. And it's
Yeah.
him doing the runaround, making sure Darius Paperboy are ready to fucking move the fuck out of their apartment. And they actually they they leave, and that's where what's his name is locked out. He can't get in.
Yeah, there's I don't know really how I feel about it, because there's you know, shows like Dave that we mentioned earlier where it's like
Mhm,
his growth and popularity kind of makes a little bit more sense when you're tracking it.
mhm.
And there's shows. What's that one show that I don't know, it starts with an E, but anyway, it's where they follow that actor. I forget what the show is. It's on HBO
Entourage.
and I love it. Entourage, yeah, yeah. I
Yep.
can't believe I forgot that. I've seen the show 33 different times. Yeah, Entourage. What's great about Entourage is like even that story tells the perspective from an actor, and like they even like follow his popularity to a T, and like so
Mhm,
you're able to like, you know, oh, he's making big bucks now and stuff like that.
yep.
Whereas this, yeah, it's implied, especially from season 2 to 3.
Yep.
And I was curious how they're going to do it because there's that huge time gap from when they recorded it. I'm like, you know,
Mhm,
is Ernst's daughter still going to be really young? And we've seen
yep.
season 4 that, like, no, she's like 7, 6 years old now. Like,
Mhm.
she's grown up. And from season 1, where he's carrying her around in like a little, you
Yeah.
know, so it's like, it's crazy to see. So, yeah, so I guess it's just implied, especially from once they do the Europe tour, which is how the
Mhm.
season ends.
Yep.
Yeah. So I wish they would have showed it a little bit more, but like, I wouldn't trade season 2 in. Like I said, it is my favorite, I
No.
think. So,
Yeah, and then what's really cool is again, so we got that kid episode, and then we
yeah.
jump to this one. And the thing is Ern is very scared that Al's gonna fire him as a manager. And
Yeah.
even as Darius, and Darius is like, look, man, like you gotta talk to the man yourself. Like, you know how it is with him. He goes, the one thing I do know about him though, he goes, he's not gonna do it till after Europe. Like because he's gonna need you there. And sure as shit though, so when when the episode's about to end, Ern realizes we left this out. The Crocodile Man, the uncle gives Ern
Alligator.
a gold alligator man, sorry,
Mhm.
alligator man, Cat Williams, Ern's uncle, Al's uncle, gives Ern a solid gold-plated fucking pistol and is like, "You want to help me take this out?" Because the I forget his name, but the alligator man ends up releasing the alligator and just running down the street to escape the police. And so he gives him the pistol. You forget about it, and right before they're about to leave to go to Europe, Al's like, "Hey man, you left this gun at my house. It's your responsibility. You got to get rid of it." And so Ern's like, "Oh yeah, I will." Forgets about it. Cut to like the last 5 minutes. Ern opens his backpack at the airport, realizes the gun's still in his backpack, and absolutely fucks over the other main manager that even got Paperboy on this tour. And
Yeah.
Al, when they're sitting on the plane, uh, Al is just sitting there and he goes, "I saw what you did back there." And Ern's like, "Fuck," and he goes, "That's that shit I need." He goes, "I need someone like that that's gonna make sure that they're good and make sure I'm good, and it doesn't matter after that." So you think at that moment, Al's gonna be like, "Yo, once we land, fuck you, like you're out of here." But no,
Yeah.
that conversation, Al was like, "Nah, like you're still solid in my fucking book."
Well, yeah, that whole episode's like full of anxiety and stuff. They're like rushing to get all their passports
Yeah.
and everything like
Oh
that. And
my god, dude. When he goes in there, he needs to get the passport. It's just a bunch of Jewish guys. And then
yeah.
because uh what's his name? Al was like, I need a lawyer. And he goes, but I need a black lawyer. And somebody's talking to the Jewish guy. He goes, hey, is there any black lawyers as good as your cousin? And the guy's like looking around. He goes, you know the industry, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I love season 2. Are you ready to move on to 3?
Yep, I'm ready.
Okay. So season 3 is a 96% Rotten Tomato score and a 68% audience score.
I wonder
Now that's out
why.
of 200 people
Mhm.
rating that. And we should mention, I think we mentioned earlier maybe, but both season 3 and 4 came out in 2022.
Yep.
Season 4 just ended actually in November, so we're
Yep.
recording this in January because me and Brian literally just watched the whole show over
Mhm.
again through. So we talk about it today. But yeah, so let's talk about it. There's 4 anthology episodes,
Yep.
and then the finale is a van episode in Paris, right?
Mhm.
So pretty much half the season you're not really following like the OG 3, right? I would
No.
say. But I have a theory. I wonder if they did that because they probably recorded these seasons back to back with there only being like 4 months, 5 months in
Mhm.
between the release dates of these. So that's my guess as to why they did the anthology episodes. But I'll say this before we get into them. I love the anthology episodes, right? I really do.
Mhm.
They remind me of Black Mirror and even Twilight Zone stuff.
Yep.
But I'll say this. I wish she just had a separate show in which she could do that stuff because I'd love to
I
see more of it.
agree. I
I'd love to see
agree.
more of it. And I love the messages behind each episode. But if you're putting yourself in the shoes of like the viewers like me and you, let's say we watch these every week and we
Mhm.
waited almost 4 years for a new season of Atlanta.
Yep.
And now we got to go like that first episode is an anthology episode and we don't even get to see anyone from the crew. And
Nope.
you're like, well, what the fuck? I just waited 4 years and I got to wait another week. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And then like there's episodes where you got to wait 2 weeks and stuff like that. And then like even the ending of the season where 9's an anthology and then 10's the van episode, it's like, well, what the fuck? Right.
Mhm.
So it's like, yeah, you get that season 4 not too long after, but like right away when you're watching as the viewer, I
Mhm.
get why it'd leave a sour taste in your mouth.
Yeah.
So yeah, I kind of wish like you watch Atlanta to see the group, the
Mhm.
crew that see what their adventure is, especially like to see what they're going through in Europe and on their tour and everything
Right.
like that. So
Mhm.
yeah, I kind of just want to add that 2 cents in before doing it. And honestly, I'll say this because me and Brian's been watching the show for the past like what 3 weeks. I
Yep.
took a little over a week off from and I was halfway through season 3.
Mhm.
And I took a break because, I don't know if it was because the anthology episodes are kind of rubbing me the wrong way. And again, I really did enjoy watching them, but it's like
Mhm.
I kind of just wish it was his own show because
Yeah, it
his
didn't
ideas are
fit.
great.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, see, well, that's what I was gonna say because I brought it up earlier. It was like Jordan Peele-esque almost the
Yeah.
way that shit was going on. So you get the first anthology episode, first episode of the season. It's called Three Slaps. With Three Slaps, you see a young kid, a young black kid at that, and he just does a little fucking dance, and the principal or the teacher freaks out, whatever, kicks him out, sends to the principal's office. The mom shows up. The mom is like, what the fuck? They start freaking out. The grandpa's no help, and this little white teacher sees that and ends up calling child services, and the kid gets fucking moved out of the house, and he ends up with these 2 lesbians that like live off the grid basically, and they have them like growing their own food and doesn't know how to cook for shit, nothing like that. And it ends up being like they're on the run because child services actually get called on the house that took all these kids in, and it ends with the 2 lesbians trying to kill themselves and the kids. Like I think there's 4 kids in total, and the main kid, I forget his name, actually got all of them out of the car, and these
Yeah.
2 ladies just killed themselves.
Yeah.
Or actually, did she kill the other kids? Did they kill the other kids and he was the only one that made it?
No, I think the kids got out.
That's what I was gonna say. Okay, that's what I
Yeah.
thought. Oh, he was the last one to jump, wasn't
He's the
he?
last one to jump.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so we got the other kids out at a rest stop, and so the lesbians on the way to kill themselves. They look in the rear view, and it's just the little guy, and he fucking hops out of the car. They kill themselves, and some guy helps the other kids, but the main kid just walks home to the mom. The mom is like, "You're just now getting back. Where have you been?" And then he goes, "You got spaghetti in the fridge." And that's the birth anthology. And I think should we just run through those ones real quick?
Yeah, let's do that. So the
So
next one's the episode 4, right?
yeah,
Big
episode 4,
Payback.
the big payback. And the big payback is really funny because we're actually kind of seeing it in modern day. I sent it to Josh right after he
Yeah.
watched it. So in the big payback, essentially some African American used ancestry.com or some site like that and found out this giant company owned slaves that were related to them, and they sued them and won and got like millions of dollars. And it turns out that it's becoming now African Americans using these DNA tests to just track anybody. And this
Yeah.
guy that had a real comfy job is getting chased down by this woman. This woman's like, all your stuff is mine, this and that. And the guy's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I'm not this company, I don't have this much money. Like, he goes, yeah, I got some money, but I'm fine. And it leads to him like going through a divorce, and then it leads to him losing his job. And now at the end, he's working at a restaurant, and he's donating, or not donating, but he's getting like 45 or 50% of his check is going to the reparations to pay this lady back, and he has nothing. He's stuck working this job. And that ending scene is fucking crazy because, again, you see it's just a bunch of tables filled up with African Americans from Atlanta, and every server is a white person there for the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
And it's just super fucking funny and a turn of events. But then, like I said, in modern day, if you've been keeping up with it, Benedict Cumberbatch's family was found to have slaves, and they want him to give back the land that they stole. And again, Benedict Cumberbatch, wasn't around to have slaves. He's just the biggest name. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, they want him to pay shit back. And then on top of that, you have Edward Norton, who just came out and said, I found out my family owned slaves and I don't feel good about it. It's
Yeah.
just like, what the fuck does that mean, Edward Norton? Like, are you going to do something about it, or are you just making it publicly known that you feel bad about it?
Well, that's why. Yeah. Was he trying to get in front of it or what?
Right. He probably just watched this episode and was like, I got to get in front of that.
Yeah. I mean, that's why, like, I don't know. That's why it feels like a Black Mirror episode, right? Because like those Black Mirror episodes is like, damn, this could happen in the future. And now this shit's already happening now. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that's the guy from what's it called?
Hang on, I got it right here. Hangover. Yeah, Doug.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Trinity to Debone, is that the next one? Yeah, that's
Trinity
the next
to
one.
Debone. This one is heavily implying about how rich white people tend to have a person of color raise their kid. And so the lady that raised her kid died, and they end up taking the kid to the funeral, and the parents are super uncomfortable, but the son actually knew all the shit that was going on. Like, he was singing the songs, and he knew about the culture and the food and this and that, and he's like getting along damn near better with the lady that helped raise his daughter than his own parents.
Yeah.
And that was fucking crazy. And at the end, isn't she like sitting in the chair as like a ghost, basically?
Yeah, so like they flip through the pictures at the end, and they've been trying to make this delivery to
their
that
house
was
for crazy,
the whole
bro.
episode.
They keep getting knocks on the door, and it was picture day, and they had mentioned it really briefly. They're like, he's still kind of upset we didn't go to picture day with him, whatever. And it turns out that Sylvia went and took the pictures with him because that was her guy. And then, and again, it also gets in on the fact of like these white people are hiring people of color to raise their kid. And the whole time, like, you see the daughter of the lady freak out at the funeral because she was raising other people's kids. She wasn't there for her own, even though like that was her job, Yeah. And it's just a shitty situation to be placed in. But yeah, so then the parents are feeling uncomfortable, and it's like, well, you fucking should, raise your goddamn kid.
Yeah, so here's the theory. So they're flipping through the pictures, and at the end they're making like this creepy face looking at the camera or whatever for those last set of pictures. There's a theory that him and Sylvia swap places. And that's why during Sylvia's funeral, he's saying all that shit, and his mom keeps giving him this look like, how does he know all this stuff? So yeah, so that's the theory out there that I've read. I want to know, what are your thoughts on the Chet Hanks parody? Because that was like they're parodying Chet Hanks sitting next to them. I thought that was pretty funny. Because I was thinking, was that funny? Are they making fun of Chet Hanks? Yeah, I looked into it.
I kind of got that vibe. That's funny as fuck. And then, so the last anthology was Rich Wigga, Poor Wigga, which is Wigga with a W.
Oh, okay. Which is a black and white episode.
Yep, it's a black and white episode, and it's about this guy comes into a high school. This kid wants to go to the school with all his friends and like his girlfriend, and his dad's like, I'm not signing shit. Like, I'm not like FAFSA, fuck that. I'm not paying anything. If you want to go, you're paying for it all out of pocket. And the kid's like, fuck. This guy comes to their school, and he's like, hey, I'm gonna pay everybody's college tuition. Like, you're good. And then he goes, and then he like everyone's cheering, and then he leans in and he goes, if you're black. And then it becomes the reverse where everyone is like they want to be black for once, you know,
Yeah.
comparatively to like what happens in the world.
Yeah.
And it's like that. So this kid is actually he's a mixed kid, but he looks super white, like he looks like his mom. And
Yeah.
he shows up and they basically do auditions and they're like they ask him all these funny ass questions and how you would answer it. And that's how they judge if you're black enough to get the scholarship. And he doesn't get it, but they laugh their asses off at him. And he ends up trying to burn down the school. But so does another African American kid that was told that he wasn't a true African American because he was what's it called? Not Nigerian. It was something like that.
I think he
And
was Nigerian.
it was it, yeah,
Yeah,
because
so he had
even
his
the
own group
main
of
kid,
people already that
yeah, yeah, and even the main kid was like, "Well, technically, you're not black. Like, you're Nigerian." And he's
yeah,
like, "No, like I'm darker than you." And he goes, "That doesn't mean anything."
yeah.
And that kid ends up trying to burn down the school too. So they're chasing each other with flamethrowers, and the kid gets shot. And at the end, the guy that was offering the free tuition shows up. He goes, "You get the scholarship." He goes, "The blackest thing you can do is get shot by the police." Which,
Yeah.
again, they're saying so much about society and making it so goddamn funny.
Yeah, and then the biracial main character like ends up trying to go, full black or whatever like
Yeah,
that at
and
the
the
end.
the ex-girlfriend sees him and he's like talking way different. He's not talking the way he was when we first met him. And the ex-girlfriend at the end
Has
is
his
like,
brush.
yeah, it's like, I think I like you more now. It's like, you bitch.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, so those were the four anthology episodes. Like Josh said, they're really fucking good. They are really good, but if you're gonna watch the season, if you don't want to watch those right away, just fucking throw them in at the end. You're not gonna miss anything. It doesn't do anything for the plot.
Well, I'll
And
be honest, because if I rewatch the show, which I will eventually, I think
mhm,
I'll skip these.
I think I'll skip them and then just go back to them randomly.
Yeah, yeah. So and I'll say this too. I think season 3 is probably the worst season to me. Not that it's bad, but I'm
Yeah,
just saying out of all 4, I prefer the other 3 compared to this. And
I
I think
agree.
you're on the same boat.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
100%.
yeah. So these are the episodes I liked because I'll just say them really quick. I like the Old Man in the Tree where they're playing poker.
Yep, that one's funny. So in that one, they go and play poker at
Yep.
some rich guy's house, and the guy or they go there for a party,
In
and
London.
yep, and there's a lot of shit just going on, and ends up with Paperboy in a high stakes poker game. Not even that high stakes, but the guy that owns the house is just not paying him. And he has this tree that he grew, and it's like this old ass tree, and he starts trying to cut that shit down.
So funny. So funny. Yeah, and then another one I liked a lot was Cancer Attack. That's what the episode where Paperboy loses his phone.
Yeah,
Um
oh, fucking socks.
yeah, Socks, which I assume they caught on to the fact that Socks was the one stole because he's not in the episodes anymore after that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, well, he's
because
there.
they
He's
meet
just
him
not
at
in
the party,
season
don't they?
4. Yeah, because Socks is the one. There's a whole thing where this girl is talking to Darius, and Darius is just saying what's up, and she's like, "I have a boyfriend," and he goes, "Oh, my fault. Like I didn't mean to come off like that." She goes, "Oh, sorry. It's just like a lot of black guys like hit on me," and she's like a little Asian girl,
Yeah.
and Socks overhears that, and Socks turns into this giant fucking thing, bigger than what it was. Even like in the moment, Socks walks up, he's like, "Dude, that's fucked up," and Darius is like, "What are you talking about? Like, it's not like she said anything racist. She just said one simple thing."
Yeah.
And like she never accused Darius of anything. Well, other than maybe trying to hit on her, but he nipped that in the bud right away. And so then Socks enters Socks, hears this, blows it out of proportion. The main
Prove that
guy
he's
who's
not
funny,
racist anyway.
yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
he makes the story so much worse as it goes on. That like she looked Darius dead in the eye and called him a slur and this and that, and
Yeah.
Darius is like, that's not what happened. But nobody's listening to Darius anymore. Instead, they're playing white savior and teaming up on this poor girl that didn't do anything wrong. And the main guy that was hosting the party ends up being like, you know what, our marriage is off, and she was on a visa, so she got kicked out of the country, and she's just sitting there crying.
Life's ruined. Yeah. So that's what the Old Man in the Tree is. That one was a really good episode. That was like the first episode in season 3 where I'm like, here we go, finally. And then like
Yeah.
so Cancer Attack's easily my favorite one in the whole season. They're in Budapest for concert. Paperboy loses his phone. Socks is still part of the group or whatever.
Yep.
Traveling with them. And yeah, basically the entire episode is we get to see like Earn being a full-on manager now. Really
Yeah.
cool to see that.
He's really in the shits
He's in
now,
his
and it's
element.
really fucking cool.
Yeah, we get to see that. And then Paperboy's freaking out about this phone, and like that's what most of the episode is. And you're thinking like the whole time, you're like, what is so important about this phone? Like, who cares? It's just a phone. Like at this point, we know he's got some money now and everything like that. And and they even accuse the manager of the place, his
The
nephew.
manager's nephew, yeah, that
Yeah,
because he
yeah.
hasn't actually seen him in like 15 years or something like that.
Yeah, and
He
he's a
goes,
big
"You don't know
Paperboy
him."
fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it turns out he's like in his 30s or whatever.
Yeah.
And he thought he was like 17.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, so the thing that I love about that episode so much is like I think it's kind of obvious in the second half of like who really took the phone, or at least
Mhm.
at the end.
Yeah.
Before they show you, obviously.
Anyone that gets
Sucks.
that overreactive about your shit missing, they probably took your shit.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Socks is an asshole. But what I love about the episode, and I think this is Alfred's like one of his best, is like
Mhm.
the reason he's upset about losing his phone is because he recorded a track on there which he
Yeah.
feels like is something unique to him that will bring back the love of music,
Yeah,
right?
well, because he essentially goes through like writer's block. And
Yeah,
right before the show, he was finally in his bag and he was writing again and it felt good.
yeah,
And he didn't have the phone that had
yeah.
all the
All
recordings
the
on it.
recordings on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why it was such a big fucking deal.
Yeah, and he felt like that was his last attachment to the love of music and like his
Mhm.
artistry and everything like that. So it's like he's basically sitting down with a person that he believes stole his phone and really breaking down and like being emotional and being sensitive and showing like who he really is as
Mhm.
Alfred as a person and as a human being, and like how important that phone is to him. It's not just a phone, it's like the music that he feels like he's attached to. So
Right.
I loved seeing that side of him. I'm like, damn, I'm
Mhm.
like, so yeah, to see it at the end of the episode, Sox takes the phone, throws it away. He's such a fucking asshole. But yeah,
Yeah.
I loved that episode. And then the last one that I really liked a lot was New Jazz. I thought New Jazz was really good too, where they take the
Mhm.
drugs.
Yeah, that one, and again, that was another good one because it shows the vulnerability of fucking Al. And the craziest thing is like, I forget the girl's name, and he's like, "Have you seen so and so?" And Ern's like, "Your mom? Like,
Yeah,
why are you talking about your mom now?" And then that shows the whole break away from that, and that still affects Al even in his age now, and even with his sense of popularity that he has. And again, what's wild is right before they take the drugs, Darius is like, "Don't end up like that guy." And they look at a guy like on a stoop, like passed the fuck out. And that was Al. That's
yeah,
where Ern found him, was passed
so
out on
cool.
the same stoop. And it's just like, and again, that's like a Twilight Zone, Twin Peaks ass fucking feeling where it comes full circle and you're just like, what the fuck is happening? And there's like a bigger thing going on.
And we see the goofy hats that we'll see in season 4
Yeah,
too.
the goofy hats, which is a
Yeah,
good fucking callback.
yeah. All right, and then do you want to talk about the finale?
Yeah, so this episode was really good. I honestly think New Jazz would have been a better finale than
Me too.
this episode. The episode was good. It just goes through what Van's been up to because Van technically vanishes for like what 4 weeks or something like that in time.
Yeah, she's a little
Not
mental breakdown.
answering, yeah, not answering Ern's calls or anything. And then her friends come out to see her and Van's talking in this fake accent and doing all this crazy shit. She's like feeding people hands. She's working for someone where they feed them hands, and her friends are like, "What the fuck?" And it becomes this whole thing. And then it wasn't until her friends like, "What about Lottie?" And that's where his band comes back to reality. He's like, "What the fuck am I doing?" It like has a breakdown. And again, it's a good episode. It's actually it's based off a movie, and I forget what fucking movie it is
Mm.
because I did look it up. I was like, "What's the meaning of this one?" Like some of these I did have to look up. Just like, what the fuck are we
See, I
going
didn't know. I
for?
didn't know it was based off a
Yeah,
movie.
I like I think they were ripping out a movie, and it's like about like it's like an identity thing and like an existential crisis, basically.
Yeah. See, I,
Yeah.
I I don't know. I like her acting a lot in this episode, but I wasn't a huge fan of it being a finale, I guess. I was
Hmm.
wondering what was going on with the Van character throughout season 3 because we do kind of see her a little bit, but like she kind of does seem like odd and out of it. Um so yeah, I guess like with her having that fake accent and her friends from the episode Champagne Poppy are back. So it's
Yep.
the friends we've met before. I'm like, wow, they're really, really good friends to be sticking with her and going through this wacky adventure with her.
Hmm.
But yeah, for it being a finale, I guess I just really wasn't a fan because I agree with you. I think New Jazz would have been a great way to end the season because it went
Yeah.
New Jazz and then it went anthology episode and then this. So it's like kind of a sour taste to end the season
Yeah.
on.
Again, if I was watching this on live TV, I totally see why this has a 68 like
Yeah,
regular person score.
yeah.
because again, critics are going to critic, and as
Sure.
they should, and I think this does deserve to be I don't know, well, maybe not in the 90s, but it's still fucking good. Like, you take it each individual episode, then you average it, like, yeah, it's going to be in the goddamn 90s. It just sucks that it's not what we were looking for. And again, they're doing a bunch of time jumps here. Earns like a straight manager now, and
Yeah.
getting all this shit for Paperboy, asking for advances and like making sure he's good. Like, Paperboy gets arrested and he has to go bail him out,
Yeah.
and then on top of that too, we know Paperboy has money because he goes, "Hey, Earn, let me see like 5 racks," and he's like, "All right," and he hands him 5. Paperboy takes it, just tosses it into a crowd of fucking people because he's got money like that now, which
Yeah.
is really fucking cool. Like, and that's the thing too. Al always had the money. Al always had money from like selling weed or Molly, whatever the fuck, whatever drug he was selling at the time. But for Earn, like, there's that episode in season 2 where fucking Earn gives Van the fucking like $1,000 or whatever, and then he takes like 200 for himself, and like that's all he gets. And to see that growth now to where they're at, where they're all in fucking Europe running around doing their own fucking thing on basically Al's dime, because Al's paying for all of them to be there.
Yeah.
It's just really fucking cool to see. Well, actually, I'm assuming Aaron is getting his own money now, like contractually, so it's not like
Yeah.
technically all Al like handing him money. Like, there's a contract signed
He's
now.
earning it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's earning it. I like
Earning it. Yeah. All right. And then getting into season 4. Season 4's got a 97% critic score and an 84% audience score, back up to normal, I'd
Yep.
say. Yeah, I like season 4 a lot. I guess I could say it now if I had to rank all the seasons before we're talking about 4. I think I'd do 2, 1, which are close, 2 and 1, very close to each other. 2, 1,
Mhm.
4, 3. And 3's not really that close to 4. I was happy with 4. I was like, there we go, we're back to formula. Like,
Mhm.
this feels like 1 and 2 again, like we're back at it. What were your thoughts?
So ranking the seasons real quick.
Yeah,
So for me, season 1 goes ahead. The number
sure.
one for me, nostalgic reasons, and then on top of that, rewatching. I'm telling you, still some of the best fucking TV ever, and you don't even know what you're strapping yourself into when you go through for the next 3 seasons, and it's fucking sweet. But now my debate does come down to, is 2 or 4 better? And I'm gonna say 2 for the sake of it, but I almost guarantee if I rewatch 4, I might put 4 above 2, and
Wow.
then three's in last. And
Yeah.
again, 3 is solely because I didn't ask for the anthology episodes. Again, Down Glover, I know you're listening. You're a fucking genius. I see what you were going for in those. Fucking great. But also, like, you're right. We waited this long for it to come back, and then you come back and you hit me with this, and just like, man.
Yeah. Well, like
And
even
then, if
season 2 where
anything,
it has like them as kids, there's
yeah.
11 episodes in that season. So
Hmm.
like even that one you could let go. If there was 14 episodes in season, 3, then we'd let
Hmm.
it go. But it's the fact
Yeah.
that like we only get 10 episodes. So
Yeah.
half of them being anthology kind of sucks.
Hmm.
Almost.
Yeah. So that was a little tough, but it's still good. It helped progress the plot. There is good episodes in there.
Yeah.
But yes, and then we jump into season 4, and we start off with The Most Atlanta. The Most Atlanta is funny as fuck. So you have Van and Earn going to the mall, and they can't escape the parking lot, and they keep running into their exes. Any person that they've ever dated, whatever, they're just there. What I really love though, well, actually, here we'll mention this one because it will sit best for last. In this one, Darius is trying to return an air fryer, and this is going on during all the riots that broke out in, like, what was that, 2020,
Yeah.
2021?
Yeah.
When all those riots started breaking out.
2020. Yeah.
And so Darius goes to return this thing, and he walks into this fucking store that is demolished, and there's one guy behind the counter, and Darius is like, "Hey man," and the guy's like, "What do you want? Like, take whatever you want." And Darius is like, "No, I just got to return this air fryer." And he goes, "I don't have the receipt though, but you could probably look it up online." The guy's like, "What?" So he's trying to like scan it. It doesn't work. And then they introduce the lady in the wheelchair, the mobile wheelchair that got sprayed with the fucking fire extinguisher. She was a meme, she was trying to stop all these fucking
A
looters.
Karen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was so fucking funny. And so she basically chases Darius throughout the whole episode. Like, at one point, Darius and Paperboy are stuck in traffic, and Darius sees the lady like pulling up, and it's dead stop traffic. So Darius literally hops out and just fucking leaves. And the lady is following him. Like, throughout the episode, it'll cut to Darius being in like the middle of nowhere, and this lady is here.
Yeah, you'll hear her
As
little
she's pulling
scooter.
up. Yeah. But then the best thing, Paperboy ends up, one of his favorite rappers died. It's Blue Dog. And what you later realize, I mean, I kind of recognized from the beat. I was like,
Yeah.
are they doing? I think they're doing. They're honoring MF Doom in this, which is really fucking
Ah,
sick. MF Doom is fucking the underground king, and the number one giveaway for it is that he actually MF Doom passed away in October, and
yeah.
it wasn't until January that his family announced it to the public because he was a very private guy. You know, he didn't want all this and that. Like, only he only wanted like his family to know. You know, and that's what they did with Blue Dog in this case. He fucking died in October, and then it wasn't until January that it was like announced. But he dropped one last mixtape, and it sends Al on a giant fucking scavenger hunt, basically. And he's like, when he goes to get the burger or whatever, because he notices he's stuck in traffic and he's listening to the song and he hears him name drop the place. And Paperboy looks to his left and there's the place. So he whips out of traffic, pulls in, hey man, can I get this? Like, you know, what Blue Dog was talking about. And the guy like doesn't say anything, hands it to him, opens it, and there's an address, and he goes, is this a fucking scavenger hunt? And then it just shows like a sped up version of him going to all these places, and it leads to him going to the fucking funeral.
Yeah.
And he thinks maybe he's not dead, he's gonna put on a fucking like show, and no, it's just Blue Dog's wife sitting there, and he goes, yeah, you're like maybe the only fourth person to show up that like followed the scavenger hunt. Like, you know, he liked to go in depth about things, but I think he went a little too in depth on this one. And then what's funny is, so when he's sitting there, Van and Ern end up getting stuck in a parking garage, you know, and so they end up finding a way out, and they're walking through the darkness. And they like, I forget what they were alluding to in this, but they walk through it and they burst down through a door and they end up at the funeral. And Paperboy's just like, "Hey, you guys are Blue Dog fans too?" And he goes, "What are you talking about? Like, we just got stuck at the mall."
Yeah, like how his ex was falling behind them too. I thought that was really
Yeah. So then, okay, so you get this episode after season 3, and again, it's not a stinker, but it wasn't what we were expecting.
yeah,
But then you get the second episode. Second episode is really fucking cool
great.
because, and again, I literally texted Josh, and Josh didn't have any context to this yet because he didn't even finish season 3. But I go, season 4, episode 2 washes away any sin that we had from season 3 because this show is so fucking good. Donald
Yeah,
Glover's the GOAT. That was essentially the text along the lines I sent to Josh. In this fucking episode, dude, Ern is talking to a fucking psychiatrist throughout it,
yeah.
and his acting is just insane in this. We finally get to hear about what happened at Princeton and how it made him feel, and then
Which we've
it
been waiting for the last 6 years.
yeah, you know, it never gets mentioned. Like it got
Yeah,
brought up in season 1 where Al, when Ern wanted to be his manager, Al asked
yeah. It's
Ern's
first
dad,
episode, right?
yeah, and was like, "Hey, what do you think about Ern managing me?" And he's just like, "Look, like that shit that happened at Princeton, we don't even know what happened, but he's back." And he goes, "But I do know one thing about my son. Like, if he's gonna do something, he's gonna do it."
Yeah,
And that's what's crazy to think. But yeah, so we finally get to hear about what happens to Princeton and the acting, dude. The acting, my God, he killed it. And so we get that, and you get this heartfelt thing of like on top of that, you hear about what happens at Princeton, and then it comes back around. And again, this is a very common thing for young kids to be molested by a family member, and it
yeah.
doesn't get talked about. And that gets thrown in the face. Like, I don't remember that ever being brought up, but the doctor person therapist is just like, and did it make you feel vulnerable, like when your, I think he said uncle, or I think he just said family member, he didn't say who it was,
Yeah,
he
I
said
didn't.
when your
Yeah,
family member touched you. And Ern just starts breaking down crying. He's like, yeah man, like I think that's what yeah, because he said he felt helpless. He felt
yeah,
helpless and there's nothing he could do. And he looked bad. He was one of 2 black kids on campus, and now his name's tainted and he's forever that guy, all because this bitch wants to lie and stuff like that.
yeah. He was trying to get what was his already that he
Yeah,
owns. She
yeah.
was
And
holding
so
that
he
for him.
used the master key because he was an RA. And so he used the
Yeah,
master key to grab his stuff. He went to his interview. Everything's good. The girl freaks out, says like he was in his room. And then Ern's like, it gets brought up to the dean. And Ern's like, well, why the fuck don't you trust me then? Like, you gave me this master key for my good judgment, and I used it
yeah,
to grab that and leave. Like, it's not like he fucked up and stole anything from her room or anything like that. It was just he invaded her space. And now, and again, he used that, like that image of himself of like being like a big black gorilla coming into this young white girl's room. And like
yeah,
that's the thing too, like it's at this point we know she's white, but the therapist is like, she a white woman? And he goes, of course it is.
yeah,
And so you get to hear that. And then at the end of this one, this is where he talks about the whole thing at the airport, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
so and then so it goes from that
But
super
just to
sweet
say, like,
hilarious.
with his delivery and his crying too, like that's when I texted you after I watched it. Like,
Yeah.
holy
Hmm.
fuck, his acting. So yeah, but yeah, and then he goes into the story about the airport and everything like that, which kind of does make ties into like with him and his school story, right? And being
Yeah.
accused
Hmm.
and feeling like helpless, kind of.
Yeah, and again, it's and like it was the same situation as the one of the guy saying that his $100 bill was fake at the hookah lounge.
Yeah.
Where a black lady ended up calling them over to her desk and was helping them, and then was like, "Hey, like she does this all the time to people of color. Like I'm gonna help you out." But then the lady got a hold of that and ended up like making sure that they couldn't go on the trip. And
Yeah.
it was like, all right, fuck it, whatever. And so the whole time you were throughout this whole episode, we're focused on this white lady that's writing a book, and she goes to a publisher, and he's like, "Oh, you do this reading, it could be as big as Harry Potter." The
Yeah.
lady quits her job. She quits her job at the airport. We don't know any of this airport stuff until the later half, and so it turns out Ern had set this bitch up to get fucking let go, like leave her job, and then get completely fucked over. And he hired a bunch of actors to fucking be there, like
And
as if
shit on
they're
her
real.
book and
Yeah. And this lady ends up fucking like crying in the car, and they have it on video, and Ern's just sitting at the bar. He throws this giant party, and he's just sitting there laughing. And then Al and Darius are just like, "What the fuck are you doing,
yeah, they're
bro?"
like, that was 2 months ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and he tells the psychiatrist that he doesn't really think that they need to see each other anymore, that he's better now, and
Yep, and then he
all this other
goes up and
stuff.
does that shit.
Yeah, it's crazy because like, see, and that's just back to those anthology episodes. Like, we follow this woman for like 10 minutes of the episode, and you could
Yep.
be like, well, what the hell's the point of this? But at the end of it, it all ties in together like perfectly, and it's like that's what's amazing about this episode, and the fact that like
Uh-huh.
it shows you kind of who a monster earn can be with money and stuff like that, and celebrating
Mhm.
it and everything like that. So I love this episode a lot. It takes a dark turn at the end,
Yeah,
obviously,
it does. It
but
does. But at the same time, though, it's like he's got this money. We've seen him been done in the wrong throughout this whole show. And it's like if he could use that money to stick it to one white bitch that fucked up his family trip. Like again, he's in the airport with Van and Lottie,
yeah,
and
and
they
he's a
do this
genius for
shit to
coming
him.
up for a plan like this too, just
Yeah,
to show him how
yeah.
smart he is.
And
So
so that was fucking sweet. And then we jump into Born to Die. What was Born to Die completely about again?
that was what they had a parody of the Yodel Kid. Um,
Oh, that's where you have to
he gets
get
paid the million.
your white avatar. That is
Yeah.
one of the most genius episodes, bro. So the whole idea is Paperboy is in a studio with like what's considered not even the yodeling kid, it was the other kid that he was trying to work with.
Oh yeah.
And then another rapper comes in and he's like spitting game with fuck Paperboy about like what he should be doing as like a black rapper. And it turns out that guy poaches his white avatar that Paperboy had lined up without even knowing. And the whole point of a white avatar is that you fucking basically sign this kid under your name and then you get all the money and reap all the benefits of him being a white kid versus a
Yeah.
black rapper who is considered a gangster, a gangbanger, however the fuck you want to look at it. And so what's funny as fuck is they do a parody of the Yodel Kid, and fucking he gets invited to the fucking Grammys over it.
Yeah.
That's how good the kid is, and Paperboy gets to go. He gets to go because he signed him. And all I could think of is fucking like Usher with Justin Bieber.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking of the whole
That's what I
fucking
think too.
time. Same
Yeah.
thing, even Ludacris hopped in on that Justin Bieber wave. So
Yeah.
like that was their white avatar. And that shit was so fucking funny. But I actually this is the only one where I took notes at the very ending. The very ending shows growth through this fucking show of so Al the Yodel kid ends up dying. He ODs and he doesn't make it to the Grammys, whatever. And Al's all upset about it. And at the end, it's him, Darius, and Ern sitting at a bar. And Al wants to just kick it with his friends, like he's literally been with them this whole fucking time. But now Ern's busy. Ern has to go off and do some management shit, and Darius is going off to do forget what Darius is going to Darius shit. And they leave Al by himself. And like the only thing I could think of is neither would be in this position without Al. They wouldn't have this opportunity. Aaron wouldn't be able to do management shit. Darius, that's what it was. Darius was going to some celebrity party.
Yeah.
And Darius wouldn't have known all these famous people without Al. So it's weird to see how much they clung on to him in season 1 and 2 and 3. You know, they're all kind of in the same boat together. They're in Europe, like trying to do their thing. You know, they're still holding it down together. But then in this episode, they're all doing their own thing. And Al just wants to chill with his boys. But
Yeah.
he built up this giant empire basically for his friends. And it's like Ern's got his own thing to do. Darius has his own thing to do. Now Al's stuck all alone. And I thought that was worth noting because that scene was just like, damn.
Well, even at
Like,
the beginning of the episode when he's done with his concert and he's getting poached by that rich dad, like
uh-huh.
Darius and Ern aren't there. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, so that even shows you right there what you're
Which
saying.
it makes sense for like Ern not to be around because Ern did become a manager. Like he was managing other people and stuff. And
Yeah.
then it was like Darius was the only one that like should have been there because he was literally just getting paid to be his friend.
Yeah. Yeah, it's right in, man.
Right.
Yeah, and then there's the light-skinned episode where that's where his mom kidnaps his grandpa, right? And
Oh my god, that one was funny as fuck.
that one's funny because it shows like their whole family dynamic
Yeah,
with him and Alfred.
and so and what else I loved about this one is so my grandparents that from my mom's side would come up from Texas, and that would basically be how it was. Like they would all be like holding the grandparents hostage, you know, like for
Yeah.
whatever reason. It's like, guys, we have a big family, like you know, we could all go out and do stuff together. Like,
Yeah.
no, my mom wanted our grandparents, or my aunt wanted the grandparents, or my other aunt that lived like 2 hours away wanted our grandparents. It's just like, Jesus Christ, guys. Like,
Yeah, and the episode's super relatable too if you have like family drama where your family fights,
Mhm.
I guess, with maybe your mom's fighting with your aunt or something like
Yeah.
that. You know what I mean? Or something like that. So
Yeah, I love too when the aunt's crying. She's like, "You're just doing this. You guys hate me because of this and that." And goes, "Hate you for that?" Oh, because she's light skinned.
Yeah.
And Cat Williams is back in this one,
Yep.
and he's like, "Hate you because you're light skinned." He goes, "We hate you because you're the most evil, vilest bitch in the family." He goes, "Nobody likes you," and she starts crying and shit because she had literally told Ern's mom where she was just like, "Oh, what, you want to make up all this time with dad? Dad can't even remember who you are." And like Ern's mom just hangs up, which is a heartbreaking scene. I hated
Yeah.
that. And I was like, "Fuck this bitch, I'm ready to go to war." And
Yeah.
then that's when even Cat was like, "See, that's the shit we're talking about."
Yeah. Yeah. So that was a good episode. I like that one a lot. And then there's work ethic where Van takes Lottie.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that was what we were talking about with Mr.
Yeah.
Chocolate.
So Mr. Chocolate is a deep voice guy, and he runs a ton of
he's basically like
black.
Tyler Perry, kind of making all these movies, and
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah.
that, right? But in this, it
Basically,
shows.
it's like it's basically their version of Medea.
Yeah,
And so that's what he's doing. And it turns out that like he really liked Lottie because Lottie spoke up because Van was the one that got the like opportunity to be on this show. It's gonna be a one and done thing. They were gonna leave. Lottie spoke up, said something while they were recording, and Mr. Truck was like, "Who said that?" And it turns into Lottie being put on different sets. They won't give fucking Van back her kid or anything. And finally she freaks out. She gets into Mr. Chocolate's building somehow, some way. And gets in there and throws fucking grits on his face, and he's like, "Maybe after all, you are a what is it? What does he call him? It's something woman, Atlanta woman, or some shit like that." Yeah. And he's like, "Maybe after all, you are one of those." Which is like, you know, it's a diss. And she's like, "You know what? Maybe I am, but I want my fucking kid back."
Yeah, and you're like looking at him and hear him, and you're like, motherfucker, that's Donald Glover again.
Yep.
Playing a character that
that
really
one was
think.
more noticeable. You could tell he just kind of had like a bigger, fatter face on.
Yeah, but it's just so funny as fuck that they.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you hear him on the speaker and the way he's talking quickly and like
Super
the way
deep
his
voice.
voice is, yeah, it's like, is that him? So it was. I was really excited to see what he looked like because I had a theory it was him, and then I looked it up after the episode, obviously, and yeah, it was him again, which I really liked a lot. And then one of the better episodes in the season, I'd probably say 2 or 3, is Crank That Killer. I like that
Such a
episode
good
a lot.
one.
Yeah, that one.
Crank
Really
That
good.
Killer is essentially there's a killer going after anyone that has any type of popularity that ever did a Crank That
2007.
video,
Yep.
which is
Soulja
based
Boy.
off Crank That Soulja Boy.
Yep.
And
Who makes
that's
an appearance
what-
in the episode?
Yeah, Soulja Boy does make an appearance. And that's when we find out that you need a safety farm. And he goes, "What the fuck's a safety farm?" He goes, "A farm in the middle of nowhere that only your people know where it's at, and you have hella guards around." and so like Ern calls Al about it, and they're like laughing, and he's like, "Man, like this shit's so funny. Good thing no one's ever done that." And Al strictly like quickly gives him his phone and looks it up, and yep, sure enough, he's got his own Crank That video, and his excuse was just, "Hey, I sold a lot of bud out of that parking lot. Like we got a lot of downtime, so of course I made one of those. Everyone was making those."
Yeah. Yeah,
That
I
was a
love that
good one.
episode.
Yeah, and then he's getting shot at the mall and shit and running for his life.
That was
And then
crazy. Yeah.
that fucking guy that he hates picked him up and he was forced to make a song with him finally. That was funny as fuck.
Yeah.
Jump into Snipe Hunt. Snipe Hunt was kind of a weaker episode, but it was still good because it solidified the love that Ern does have for Van. Finally, I think
They get
that
back
should have came in
together.
season 3. Yeah, because he wants him to move to Cali. They go out.
Bro,
And,
when they leave that tent behind,
yeah,
I know he's got stacks now, but a 16-person tent from REI is fucking like over $1,000
he
easily.
doesn't give a fuck. It's
I
raining.
know, bro, but I
If
was
I
like,
had
come
that
on.
much money, I'd be in the same boat.
I'm like, no, don't leave the tent. Because
Yeah.
when he was unpacking, I'm like, wait, 16-person tent from REI. I'm like, I know, that's insane.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yeah,
just
so
had to
they
throw
did
that in.
that for Lottie's birthday. That was a good one. And then we get to the goof who sat by the what is it? The goof who sat by the door.
Set by
They
the
do
door,
this
which that's
whole-
technically a separate episode, technically.
yeah,
but it
it's-
works.
It does work. It is the only anthology that we get in this one, but it's so fucking funny. So a black person ends up as the CEO of Disney on accident because they voted for the wrong guy and he wouldn't step down and he runs it and he goes, I'm gonna make the blackest movie ever. It's the Goofy movie.
Yeah.
So he makes the Goofy
That's the
movie.
character Goofy.
And so they do this whole dramatization. It's funny as fuck. I highly recommend getting to this episode for sure. But at the end, I love so he ends up not like he gives up the CEO, but when he comes back, he sees that the ending was changed. The ending he wanted Goofy and Max to get shot by the police to really like say what's going on in the cap or in the nation. But they scrapped that and he was super pissed about it. And that episode again, I had no clue what was going on, but I fucking loved it.
It was so funny, dude. And the connection that with the movie where they go fishing because him and his son would go fishing together, I really like that. And yeah, everything. The part that really made me laugh was because they shot it like it was a documentary, which I really loved.
Yep.
And there's a scene where they're in the boardroom and he does the goofy laugh when he's talking about the movie. And then they show him on the table doing this pose with all the white people around him. Was hilarious. That scene got me fucking dying.
I love that shit.
Yeah.
Oh,
you could
man.
watch that separately on its own.
You easily could. This is such a good one.
Yeah.
Following this up, we got Andrew Wyeth in Alfred's World.
Yeah, which that's his safe farm episode.
Yep, so he's on the safe farm and it's just him doing shit out there and he's got wild hogs. He ends up killing the hog. He ends up falling off a tractor and fucking like dragging himself because he fucked up his foot, dragging himself miles to get back. And like right when he gets back, the hog shows up, and luckily Amazon had just delivered a skillet to him, so he used the skillet to beat the shit out of the hog. And then what's really funny is like one of those ending shots where the hog's just sticking out of the trash can.
Yeah, because you see the bacon that he's making with the skillet.
Yeah. And I love though when Ern calls him right after he kills the fucking hog, and right after he had just dragged himself miles after falling off that goddamn tractor. He calls or he's talking to Ern, goes, "What's up, man? Just chilling." He goes, "Can I call you back in the morning?" He goes, "Yeah, you okay?" And he goes, "Yep, man, everything's good." He's literally laying on the floor of the kitchen, not moving.
Bleeding and yeah.
So
that was a good episode.
That was a good one. And then we get to the finale. It was all a dream. I love that. I kept reading that in Biggie's voice anytime I saw the title.
Yep.
And,
second best rated episode in the whole show.
Oh man. And again, it was sad. It was sad because I knew it was the last one, but it was fucking good, man.
It's great.
You have Darius going in a deprivation tank, and he says he doesn't smoke before, but he ended up smoking on the way there. And he ends up going through this giant fucking thing. And the Inception callback, what do they call it in Inception? The fucking thing that can ground you.
Oh, your totem.
Yeah, your totem.
Yeah.
His totem was a thick Judge Judy. He goes, you
Yeah.
see Judge Judy on TV all the time. If you see her as a thick Judge Judy, then you know it's fake.
Well, see, like that what was cool about the episode too is like with that one, like we think he smoked before, but that could have been part of the dream. Like, you don't know within this episode, you don't know when the dream starts and where it ends.
Yeah. And at the ending, you see, well, and then what's funny though too is Ern, Van, and Paperboy Al, whatever you want to call him, they end up going to a black sushi place. And what's fucking funny is there's a Popeyes, and they keep looking at the Popeyes. They don't want to fucking eat this sushi. He goes, "This shit isn't even good." And at the end, the guy's just like, the owner's like, "Yeah, I bet you want to go get that Popeyes, not support the black community," like basically ripping on him for that. And he's like, "Hell,
I love
yeah,
the
like,
Blockbuster call outs.
Yeah. He goes,
and they show the sign where it's like clearly
this used to be a Blockbuster, and it's like on the fucking wall.
Yeah, that shit's so funny, dude.
Yeah, so that was That was a good ending, man. And again, it ends. Van, Ern, and Al go outside to smoke and go, Darius, you coming? And Darius is like, nah, man, this is a dream. And
Yeah.
they're like, what are you talking about? Like, this is real life. Like, Ern goes, Darius, you were sitting here across from us. Like, this is real. And Darius just like, all right, man, like whatever you say. And then what's cool is Judge Judy's on the TV and it ends before we could even see her ass. So we don't even know if it's thick Judge Judy or not. We don't
Which
know
is
if we
how
ended on a
Inception
dream
ends.
or not. Yeah.
Yeah. Really cool.
Oh, dude, such a good fucking
Really cool.
ending.
I think it was he was awake at the end, obviously,
I think
if I had
so.
to guess.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I like how they're all together. And then clearly what we've gathered from this last season is that they're moving to LA together, all of them.
Yep.
So yeah, I think it was a great ending, great last season for this incredible show.
Hmm.
We did our ratings of how which seasons we like the most, but now we're just gonna rate the show overall. Um
Overall, I can confidently give this show like a fucking 94. Highly
yeah,
recommend. I gave it a 10 star on fucking IMDb just to bump it
yeah.
up a little bit, but easily a 94. This show, Donald Glover is a fucking genius. Anyone else that he brought on to write or direct was also fucking genius. The whole show is shot to almost make you feel uncomfortable. It is the Twin Peaks with rappers. You
Yeah.
know, and now I'm very interested to go back and watch all of Twin Peaks and
Yeah.
fucking compare it to this. And actually, there was a tweet that he put up in like 2020 or 2021. Donald Glover tweeted, he goes, season 3 and 4 and Atlanta's untouchable. He goes, the only thing that's close to touching us is Sopranos.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a great idea to say because it's like Sopranos is based off the mob, right? But
Hmm.
at the same time, we're going through Tony fucking having depression and going to a therapist, and that's not a normal thing. And we're seeing this happy life. Like, obviously, we know like Tony is cheating on his wife, and then we see his wife cheating on him. And then you have all these people just like dying to random shit and just a bunch of stuff going on. And then you get Atlanta, and Atlanta is like that. Like, the idea is that it's behind a rapper, but each episode is based like you're following a different character from time to time. You don't get to see the whole group. You're seeing what the trials and tribulations they had to fucking go through. Fucking
Yeah.
amazing. Also, I didn't mention this. Best soundtrack to a TV show ever. This show
Oh yeah.
has put me on to so many songs that have been on my playlist since like 2017, 20 or 2016, 2018, those early seasons. And even now, like they're like going through 3 and 4. I have a couple songs like that they used in
Dude,
there.
even in that last anthology episode, they're bumping like Escape Plan at the beginning. Like,
Yeah,
all right.
dude.
Yeah, it's a good ass soundtrack. Yeah, to go off that, I'm giving it actually 92. I think it
Okay.
definitely is worthy of the whole 90s spot. It's a great show that, me and Brian love and that we'll definitely rewatch again for sure.
Oh yeah.
And like Brian said, it's not just a show about a rapper at all. I mean, it
Nope.
tackles things like race and relationships, poverty, everything that we were talking about earlier, status, even like it tackles so much of other things, and the way that they do spin-off episodes of these main characters that we get to follow, and then when they're all together again, you have that certain love for each character, and you've
Hmm.
seen them grow from season 1 all the way to 4, and it really is incredible. So
Yep.
yeah, I think 92. Again, I think if season 3 was a little bit more like the other seasons, a little bit more
Hmm.
than, like, obviously me and you would probably given it a little bit higher score,
Yeah.
but that's kind of like the only knock we really have on it, I guess, right? Is
Yeah, the season 3 is the only knock. And again, it's not necessarily even a knock. It's just like the anthology. Again, we waited 4 years for this show, and honestly, if he wanted to make like a mini thing and be like Atlanta fucking anthologies like series, perfect. I'd watch the shit out of that,
me
and
too.
I'd love the shit out of that. It was just the
Yeah.
idea of, again, if I was watching this on TV, I'd be pissed, especially at that ending. We're getting an anthology, and then we're
We
getting
gotta wait
just
a
a
week
bad
every
episode.
episode. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
After
I would have been
years.
pissed right there. Yep.
Yeah, I would too. Yeah,
But
and
again,
I was reading reviews and people were pissed off.
yeah, and honestly, I guess the only saving grace would be that fucking both seasons were in the same fucking year. So it's
Yeah.
like you only had to go a couple months and then he got back to it, and then season 4 fucking kicked it again. I almost guarantee when I do the rewatch, if we ever fucking touch back on it, like, yeah,
Yeah.
I might put 4 over 2. And
Yeah.
two's fucking goaded. And honestly, one might drop. Who knows? For all I know, it could go fucking 2,
It
4,
could
1,
always change.
3. I don't even know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, all right, guys. Thank you for listening to this episode. We'll be back Tuesday with Grand Budapest.
Yep,
We
gonna
got
be a good
special
one.
guests on that. Yep.
Mhm.
So we'll see you guys then. Thank you guys.
All right, bye guys.
See you, boys.